Welcome people of the World Wide Web, so it's Cypher Sigma Toys here, and what have I got for you today? As the title will see, it might be a little one. So this is a new series that I want to run, so I've decided, obviously, I'm still wanting to mix up some bits of the channel, and it is going a bit stagnant. I understand you just watch a video of me of a toy I collect and then you see a video of my toyland, which is interesting for some people, but it's a bit quiet, it's a bit repetitive, so I wanted to mix it up. So I'm going to throw these videos in, I'm going to build this collection. So this is Talking Toys, so this is episode 1. So this is a series where I'll take a subject about toys and I will talk about it in this video. I will, you know, put it on myself. So as you can see, question 1 is, why do we collect toys? So there are many reasons. People have discussed about this, you know, why I collect toys. So I'm going to take you my personal route. So very much this is kind of an answer that I can't really answer, but I'll explain kind of how I've gone through for my life. So I'm in my 40s now. Obviously when I was a young lad I used to have toys, as all of us used to do. Unfortunately, my parents broke up when I was very, very young, so it was my mum who raised me for a small period of as I was a child, or me and my sister. So we never had much money. I never had that's why, like, as a child I never had really any big play sets or anything like that, just because it wasn't feasible. And I have no qualms, you know, my mum was amazing and is amazing. The fact that she raised me and my sister alone, going through everything she had to go through as a separate parent, because obviously my dad wasn't really much in the picture. Obviously she got remarried just before I was 10, and obviously my new dad, who I count as my dad, came along, and obviously he did spoil me and my sister. I did get stuff like Ecto 1, and when I did get the Transformers Countdown as a kid and stuff like this. And that's how kind of my childhood went on. As I went into my teens, I collected, you know, I was a very quiet, reserved child, not compared to what I am like now. But that is how I went. As I started to go into my teens, I started to obviously get into other things. I started my first job, which was at Tesco's, and obviously Tesco's back in the late 90s, and they used to have toys, and specifically around that time they had Transformers. Beast Wars had come out, and that was something I was still quite big into. I was still holding on to that childhood of the Transformers, even though I'd never seen the film until I was a teenager. For somebody, I mean, it came out I think 96, and I was only 4 at the time, 3, 4. I was probably only 3. I wasn't even probably 4 at the time, so I wouldn't have really been aware of it. And my mum, being the parent she was, wouldn't have taken me to the cinema. To probably something I wouldn't have been really engaged in at that time. But anyway, so that's what kind of I did start to get stuff. But this was the period, obviously, as you grow older, and I was looking into get into jobs and stuff like this to get out of Tesco's, as this was part time when I was doing sixth form. And stuff like this, and then I kind of moved away from my toys, and that's where I went for probably the next at least 10 or so years. So in my 20s I didn't really touch many of my toys or even really think about it. Movies, yes, I did collect, which is why you see loads of them around here, and why I have a mixture of both, because that is how I am now. I know I'm a little bit unique in that, but that is who I am. So anyway, so we get to kind of my 30s. So within this time I'd moved out, I lived with my sister, I lived with some mates, I lived with a girl, you know, it got kind of serious and then it didn't get serious. Well, it got serious in different ways, but that's by the by, that is in the past. But anyway, it got to a point where I ended up moving home several times to try and reclaim money. First time I ended up moving home just because I got myself into debt a little bit with overdraft and stuff like this. Not major, like £1,000, it was just, I was in my overdraft and I just kept spending money. I was young, that's the way it was. I moved back, I saved a bit of money, I moved out with some friends. They went off and did their own thing. I then had to move home or I didn't move home, I moved in with a girl. That didn't work out. I moved home and I saved, and this is where kind of we went. I decided that I was at a period where I had paid a lot of those loans and debts off, and I was just building up money to buy my own flat, which is what I did, God, like 9 years ago now, give or take. So obviously this is when I then had my new girlfriend, who is now my wife. But we were quite relaxed earlier on in our relationship. That basically I had my flat, she lived with her mum, and you know, it took a few years before she even moved in with me for a period before we then bought a house, and then obviously got married and did all those things. So the flat was my own kind of domain. I had all my movies in the lounge, and in the spare room I had all my series, and that's when I bought 2 de Toffs. I had 2 de Toffs, so these are the glass cabinets that you can open up and have toys and stuff in here, and this is where I started to collect Transformers. This was the period around about the time when the Bay films were coming out. I think this is partly getting me. I was quite versed in eBay ahead of a lot of the other ones, so I was buying a lot of Japanese imported ones. Like, some of them may have been a knockoff, but it was like 10-15 quid for this like Bumblebee Transformer. It could have been a knockoff, I didn't care, it looked nice. I started to buy them, you know. I had quite a lot of money because I had a flat. It didn't cut, the flat wasn't that expensive with bills and something like that. When I look at it now, you know, probably the money I was earning when I moved into the flats, I now pay on my mortgage now, which shows you how prices and stuff silly goes up, and how much money and, you know, the jobs I've been through and something. But anyway, so that was how I am. So I started to collect Transformers, and this has started to get back me into it. When I had my flat, also my parents decided they want to clean out the loft mostly, so I came along, picked all my stuff up and took it there, opened up these bags. I had Ecto-1 missing doors, missing stickers, missing bits, blah 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 blah. And I was still into comics throughout all this period, and I had a friend who did own a comic book store who was going into, or he had a comic book store, but before he had the comic book store I met him, and he sold toys and stuff like this. So I sold my toys to him, and it was only like £100 I got for it. Now I look back and I'm like, why did I do that? I did keep my Samurai Raphael from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles free. That was the one toy that said, and the rest of them just went, and I didn't think anything of it. I just wanted some money. He offered me about £100. I was like, yeah, take it. You know, it's drinking money. That's getting, you know, it's movies. That's having fun with your friends. Didn't think anything of it. Obviously, Transformers started to build up. I had the 2 cases that came with the Toffs. But as I started to fill up the Toffs and started to fill the Transformers, and this is when we didn't have all the third parties that we do now have, the kind of what I was into started to get smaller and smaller, and I was like, well, what else do I do? So this is when I started to revisit a lot of stuff I used to watch as a kid, and this is where I started to then pick up like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or, you know, I have these, or maybe I should get more, start getting into them, and one thing led to another, leads to another. I started to get into obviously a big Marvel fan. I was into Marvel Legends. Obviously the MCU was out there, it was really popular, and that I was massively getting into that. So, and then it's just grown from strength to strength to strength. Obviously, I went from a flat to a house. I have a massive garage, which I then converted into what you see as the toy room, DVD movie room, depending on what channel you've come across me on. And those are my toys, and that's where it is. And I very much am at the thing where I'm happy to have these things. These things do give me joy. Unfortunately, I don't get to play with them as much, just because adult life gets in the way. It's good to play with them. I like to obviously take pictures, put them on Instagram, do these videos and stuff, and this is a nice thing to talk about. I also have like AJ from AJ's Mood Place. He really likes toys, so it's good to talk to him and stuff like that. And then I have all my little series and stuff like I do. So yeah, that's where it's been. My concept now has always been, I am partially claiming stuff is my childhood, so a lot of the series that I do are like my Power Rangers is almost complete to cover everything kind of I've seen up to this point. I feel this is kind of a good point. I haven't seen as much Sentai, the newest stuff, so I haven't got any of that. Unfortunately, a lot of the stuff like I have seen, they have converted, so that's fine. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I've got quite a lot of the lines I like. I have an 80s and I have a 90s wave, and I kind of go back and pick stuff up, and I remember from those series. If it is a series that I really liked, I'll try and get the whole wave. If it is something that I'm not too invested, so I will use like Silverhawks. I'm not going to go back and get those. Those are really expensive. The Chrome Flakes off, not a big fan. Same as original Motu, not a big fan of those. But with the Silverhawks, obviously Super 7 did a figure, did Quicksilver. I bought that. It has flaws in the figure. It has the loosest head I've ever, it has a looser head than a bobblehead in my eyes, and there is some stuff that I need to improve. But he is a figurehead on my shelf. He sits with the Defenders of the Earth and the Dungeons and Dragons and all this stuff. And this is where I want to get to the point where all the waves and everything that I remember as a kid kind of has some representation. The whole point of why I collect it is because it's enjoyable. I enjoyed the hunting and obviously meeting people for this, as you'll see videos and that on his channel. But also it gets to the point of, it's these memories that he's made. Like, hopefully I will have something. Plus, I want to be in a period where later down the line. Maybe, you know, I don't know how long I'm on this planet for, and when I have kids and when they grow up, hopefully that it's something for them. Hopefully they will have some common interest. You know, there may be some toys they will want to keep because it reminds them of me or situations or something like that, and maybe they will want to sell them, which is fine because toys do go up and down, but quite a lot of them that I have do hold a lot of value. There is some quite rare ones in there that I have. So that's kind of where it is. I never see that this is throwing money down the drain. This is me enjoying life, doing something what I want to do. But then there's also something that I can maybe pass this down or sell this on. You know, if there was ever a situation, you know, I wouldn't want to be homeless if, you know, if I lost my job and that, I could sell stuff and survive for quite a few probably years until I would need to do something about it, which is nice to have that kind of buffer in there besides savings, besides everything else you have. But yeah, that is why I collect toys. And so it's kind of weird, it's not really a concrete one of kind of life has changed my views, and then I kind of got back into it due to obviously my parents cleaning out and obviously Transformers and stuff becoming popular, and because I follow the movie side of things, I still kind of have that one foot into the toys and watching the cartoons and stuff. So I've never really escaped kind of the toy world. I've just never been proactive in it. I did go out and drink for a period of time when I was a kid. Obviously, I'm quite a big person, as you can tell. Even though I look probably youngish now, people say I don't look 40. And when I went out when I was younger, because I was so tall and something like this, I did get mistaken for an older ones, which meant I went out a little bit earlier, which means I kind of plateaued that very early on. I said I used to go out like 16, 17, up until probably like early 20s or something, when I was more into rock music or something, and then that kind of died off. I very much by my mid 20s was just sick of going out. I've been there, done that, and you know, there's only so much you can keep spending money and, you know, getting drunk, and how it just doesn't become enjoyable. But that's just me. But anyway, that has been Talking Toys episode 1. Why do you collect? So why do you collect? If you're watching this video, please let me know in the comments down below why you collect. I really want to know your thoughts and feelings on this. Hopefully this might build to something. Maybe I'll do some live streams on that based off this series, but that's the plan. Obviously I don't know how often this will be, but just, you know, every so often I'll do a video on that. But I've been Cypher Sigma Toys. Hope you enjoyed this little video on the channel. Like, comment, subscribe, do all those things you want to do, and I shall see you in the next one.